No, me, I got something that I need to prove. I cannot lose, nah. Everything I do that really is news. You look confused, why? You are what you choosing to do. Me, I've been making the moves, paying my dues, getting this done with the fam. Y'all know that I am the dude. Bend that low.
All right, let's keep this week one recap rolling. There was a lot of really good football. There was a lot of really bad football. In a nutshell, the quarterback play was atrocious. They pay these guys way too handsomely. I mean, every deal that gets signed is a record-breaking, all-time biggest contract ever. There were like 20 quarterbacks that didn't throw for 200 fucking yards this weekend. And a lot of those guys are these big-name, high-profile quarterbacks that did that. My second biggest takeaway is that the veteran wide receivers. Now let's get into the real football. And I'm just going to look at each matchup and just kind of give you my quick takeaway. This isn't going to be one of those videos that's chopped up and all pretty. I'm going to pull up the box score to each one of these games so you can read through and get whatever information that is important to you from it as I give you my headlines. So, first off, Baltimore and Kansas City. The Chiefs won this game 27-20. It come down to the final minute. All of this despite a complete lack of Derrick Henry's involvement. And on top of that, an increased role for Justice Hill, who really didn't even have a role in this offense last season when they did not have the king himself, Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson had 16 carries versus Derrick Henry's 13. Lamar Jackson, albeit the best athlete playing quarterback in the NFL, cannot sustain success for the Baltimore Ravens this season by running the football more than the guy who is literally built by God to be the workhorse for this football team. I'll never, for my life, understand why you put the franchise quarterback's body in jeopardy that many times over the course of the football game. In week one. Yeah, I know you want to beat the fucking Chiefs, but damn, it's week one. And Xavier Worthy's going to be a massive, massive problem. Kansas City has way too many goodies to look at. And then when you give them 4.22 record-breaking all-time NFL speed, faster than the cheetah himself, Tyreek Hill, when you give Andy Reid a weapon like that, yeah, Xavier Worthy's going to be a fucking problem. The Eagles defeated the Packers 34-29 in a game where Jordan Love would ultimately injure himself on the last drive of the football game. All Green Bay wide receivers, I think, will continue to share an equal load. They're going to get an inconsistent target share, and I get the feeling that each week one of them could have massive wide receiver one numbers like we saw with Jayden Reed. I think it's very plausible to think that Jayden Reed, the next game and the game after that, could potentially have 2 or 3 receptions, while Romeo Doubs or Dante Wicks and Christian Watson all have these types of games as well. And Saquon Barkley just literally made Philly's offense elite and back in my playoff picture. I thought that this whole Nick Sirianni era was going to come crashing down, but Saquon Barkley might have just saved their entire season. What they were able to do with the balance, they were able to feed A.J. Brown and feed Devontae Smith while giving Hurts opportunities with his arm and his legs, all the while riding Saquon's back on the way to a 3-touchdown game. Next game, Atlanta versus Pittsburgh. Atlanta never should have lost this game. If you look at their offense, if you look at the pieces that they have from top to bottom, Atlanta's offense is far more explosive than 10 measly-ass points. Biggest takeaway from Pittsburgh is that Najee will be the clear-cut RB1. Jaylen Warren's value is plummeting. I mean, two carries for Jaylen Warren versus Najee Harris's 20. Okay? Pittsburgh restored its hard-nosed identity that they are known to be. That hard-nosed, smash-mouth, run-down-your-throat offense with a pack-it-in, come-down, fly downhill, and smack you in the mouth defense. I'm extremely happy for Pittsburgh fans. I think that you got your identity back. Still don't think you're going to be any good, really, in the big picture. I don't think Pittsburgh's making the playoffs. But with that said, at least your identity is restored. Under Matt Canada, you didn't have that. With that being said, Atlanta has zero offensive identity. They don't know who they are. They fed Bijan Robinson over and over and over again, but he was not successful. Pittsburgh never felt a true threat of Atlanta's passing game. Drake London and Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, all just mid as fuck, man. And they continue to get this big hype. And I said it in my preseason position rank videos. These guys just get way too much hype for nothing, and it continues every year. It's like we restart and re-believe in something that we've never seen. And this is the last time. Like I said, this is my last time believing in these guys. But Drake London's performance to only be able to get open twice, to only be able to catch 2 balls, and I know Kirk Cousins is coming off of an Achilles tear. I also know that he's approaching 40. Okay? I know that shit's not easy, but Atlanta was a huge letdown. Arizona took on Buffalo Bills. Arizona looked like they were in complete control of this football game for about 3 quarters, and then Josh Allen decided that everybody needs to get the fuck out of his way and let Josh Allen do Josh Allen shit. I mean, this man is Superman. He is, honestly, the white Cam Newton. I mean, he has just guts spilling out of every pore of his body. I mean, the guy has big nuts for doing what he did this weekend. He earned a lot of respect, in my opinion. And we all knew that Josh Allen was a monster, but I mean, Jesus Christ. 18 for 23 for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did have 1 fumble, but then he has 9 carries for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. 4 total touchdowns. And a lot of that was late in the game. Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakur, and James Cook will continue to carry the workload. Josh Allen simply hates his tight ends. I don't know what it is. He hates his tight ends. But one of the bigger surprises from this game is the lack of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s role. I mean, I saw a drop. I didn't watch much of this game. But I did see a ball hit Marvin Harrison Jr. right in the hands. And I went on about my day. He's a rookie. Yeah, it happens. But I didn't realize until later that this guy only got 3 targets and only had 1 catch. Meanwhile, Greg Dortch had 8 targets and even got a carry. I don't understand how a guy like Greg Dortch gets 3 and 4 times the amount of opportunities that Marvin Harrison Jr. does. Why did you just go get this guy in the first round? I think he'll be all right. And Kyler Murray surprisingly looked efficient. I mean, it wasn't bad. 21 of 31, 162, a touchdown, a fumble, 5 rushes for 57 yards. Not good, but by 2024 quarterback standards, decent. Tennessee and Chicago, this was, bizarre. And I'm going to have to turn this UK ball to the side here. I want to give RIP to Will Levis's career. Will Levis, you've been known for drinking mayonnaise in your coffee and eating the peel on a banana and all kinds of other crazy shit, but none of that compares to the boneheaded ass heave that you made to give up probably the most embarrassing pick 6 of all time. In a game in which you had the lead, all you had to do was kill a little bit of clock. A sack keeps the time going. Caleb Williams looked horrible. The Bears' offense looked horrible the entire game. They didn't score an offensive fucking point. They didn't score an offensive fucking touchdown. Punt the ball and play defense. You don't have to be a hero when you're up 1 going against an offense that's struggling. Will Levis, dude, Jesus. I keep trying to defend you, man, but fuck. RIP. Caleb Williams got a big old slice of humble pie, and nothing made me happier than this, man. I mean, this is a guy coming in talking about he ain't going to go here, he ain't going to go there. He's not signing with the Chicago Bears unless they give him part ownership. Um, you haven't done shit. He pissed off a lot of people in the locker room, speaking what they consider to be out of line to veterans, basically demanding them do things that rookies typically do in the locker room. And he has zero success or anything on the football field. USC just announced that they're retiring this man's jersey. He's the only player in football history to have his number retired a few short months after his collegiate career ended. This man in his debut threw the ball for 48% completion percentage for 93 yards. He had 15 yards on the ground. Chicago has to run DeAndre Swift more. Until Caleb Williams can get acclimated to the NFL, which I think that he will end up being able to do. But until then, I mean, keep serving up humble pie to me because I love to see it for guys like him. Just the arrogance, everything that he stands for, the me shit. I'm not with it. And he can say whatever he wants. His teammates can say whatever they want. I see through the bullshit. Him and his painted ass fingernails can get the fuck out of here with that attitude when you ain't done nothing at the NFL level. Next game, New England versus Cincinnati. I mean, I thought this game was a joke. This game was a layup. This was a gift-wrapped win to start this Cincinnati Bengals season off with. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals notoriously struggle week 1, week 2, week 3. It takes them a while to get going. And the NFL hand-wrapped them a gift here by giving them presumably the worst team in the NFL to kick off their season with. And they muster up 10 fucking points. Bill Belichick is not calling the defense on that sideline anymore. I love Gerard Mayo. I watched him play growing up. He was one of my favorite linebackers to watch. I tried to mold a lot of my game watching the highlights of him. But the fact is, man, they have nothing on offense. 10 points really should have won this fucking game for Cincinnati. But if your superstars were in practice like they should be, like everybody else is, maybe there's not all this dysfunction. With that being said, Zach Moss is a hell of a running back. They act like he's just roadkill that they picked up from the side of the road. He's got to carry the ball more than 9 times in a tight ball game. This was never out of hand. This isn't a game where you have to throw the ball a shit ton to try to scratch and claw your way back into it. They were right there in this thing. Run the fucking football. Houston versus Indianapolis. CJ Stroud's exactly who we thought he was. There's not going to be a sophomore slump here. Are you kidding me? This man was 24-32 for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And they still had time to give Joe Mixon the ball 30 fucking carries. Joe Mixon, 30 carries, 159 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 catches on 3 targets for 19 yards. Where do they find the time in the day to give him that amount of touches when C.J. Stroud also threw the ball over 30 times for over 200-something yards? I mean, the Texans are a problem, dude. They're a problem. They can do it in every which way. And C.J. Stroud is a beast because they were able to take in Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs, mixing them with the pieces that they already had, and they blended everything together in a way that nobody lost out. As a matter of fact, it seems like everybody touched the ball more. I don't know how it's possible. Nico Collins had 8 catches for 117 yards. Tank Dell had 7 plus 2 carries. And Stephon Diggs had 6 targets with 2 touchdowns. And on the Colts side, AR5's completely erratic with the football. He's 9 of 19, and surprisingly, he was actually somewhat efficient. He had 3 touchdowns total, 1 total turnover, 3-1 ratio is not bad at all, considering I still pretty much consider him to be a rookie. But with that said, he can't hit the broadside of the fucking barn. He can't read a defense. He can't throw the ball on time. He can't hit people breaking out of their routes. He cannot look at coverage and determine, I know A, B, and C in my head. Based on this coverage, I'm going to throw the ball here on time. It is not sustainable to throw deep balls and prayers 65, 70 yards down the field with a blind eye off your back foot to, honestly, an average fucking receiver in Alec Pierce. That's not a game plan. You got lucky. This shit is not sustainable. I'm not buying at all what Alec Pierce was able to accomplish. I'm also not buying the fact that Jonathan Taylor is going to continue to be pedestrian. He had 16 yards, or had 16 carries for 48 yards, 3 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, 0 targets. And Jonathan Taylor is known for being a dual threat type of back. I mean, AR5, as much athleticism as he brings to this offense, he limits them in so many ways that, like, honestly, a guy like Joe Flacco, who's on the bench, could probably come in and give this offense the boost and take them to a totally different level. Whatever happened to letting these young guys learn behind vets? AR5's got a lot to learn. Jacksonville and Miami, I just had a gut feeling that both defenses would play pretty tight. They are both loaded with weapons on the outside with, honestly, 2 quarterbacks that are kind of coming into their own in this league. It took a little while for both of them to get started. Tua and Trevor Lawrence, of course, took both of them a while to get started. But eventually it turned into more of an air raid type of game. And the Dolphins would end up winning this game 20-17. It's not exactly the shootout that I anticipated, but even though I thought that it would be pass heavy, I still didn't see this coming. I mean, what the fuck happened to Raheem Mostert? He had 8 touches for 19 yards? Is this the same Raheem Mostert who was 4th in fantasy scoring last season? Who led the NFL in total touchdowns? This is the same guy? He had 8 touches, and Jeff Wilson, your third running back, who's basically offered nothing to this offense in quality, real, valuable minutes. You give Jeff Wilson 5 carries? And Raheem Mostert only had 6 carries? That's unbelievable. Devon Achane still did his thing. He had 17 touches for 100 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, still Tyreek. Despite getting detained, Scotty Scheffler, if you will, on the way to Hard Rock Stadium over the weekend, he caught 7 of 12 targets for 130 and a touchdown. Now, of that 130, 80 of that was in one long touchdown pass, but still. Tua had a great game. He was one of 3 quarterbacks that passed for over 300 yards this weekend. He was 23 of 37 for 338 and 1 touchdown. Sorry, he was one of 2 quarterbacks over 300 yards. This is a game that had 2 what the fucks. What the fuck happened with Travis Etienne? Again, am I looking at this right? He literally shared time with Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby did nothing with his opportunities last season. Travis Etienne, by the end of the year, was one of the most dominant running backs on first, second, and third down out of all running backs in the NFL, and he literally shared time with this guy. They had 12 carries apiece. Etienne had 14 touches for 59 yards and a fumble. And Bigsby, with his 12 carries, what did he do? He averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Etienne only averaged 3.7. What the fuck is happening in Jacksonville's backfield? Trevor Lawrence kind of got Aaron Rodgers before Aaron Rodgers got Aaron Rodgers. They only let this man throw the ball 21 times. And your star running back was doing nothing. He was averaging 3.7. And your answer was to give the ball to Tank Bigsby. And your franchise quarterback, who broke a record before the next quarterback broke the record, before the next quarterback broke the contract record, you gave him 21 attempts? He was 12 of 21 for 162 and a tud. And the problem here was that he was 1 of 4 on his targets to his 2 leading receivers, being Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Massive, massive dysfunction from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Carolina and New Orleans, this game's almost not even worth talking about. Carolina is such a joke. The only team that Carolina might be able to beat is the Giants. And honestly, that game might never finish. Like literally, if they didn't have the overtime rules set the way that they did, that game might not ever finish. Both teams are so fucking bad, they would both find a way to lose. But for a divisional game, division rivalry, to start this off, I mean, Carolina was so bad, it was a total embarrassment to the entire sport of football. Bryce Young, their quarterback, was 13 of 30 for 161 yards, 2 turnovers. He had 1 rushing touchdown. Nobody gives a fuck. And he was sacked 4 times. They had 3 running backs that had between 4 to 6 carries. A total of 16 carries for 46 yards, 0 touchdowns, and a fumble. Their offense mustered up just about 200 yards evenly with 1 touchdown and 3 turnovers. On the opposite side of the field, New Orleans looked great. But do you really put a lot of stock into that? You heard what I just said, right? I'm not buying New Orleans shit, okay? I might have been a little bit wrong about their offense being completely boring. But I don't think that they beat anybody else in the National Football League 47-10. Okay, I'm not buying the dominance. They might be okay. 7-10. Max. Rashid Shaheed is a must-add for your fantasy football team, by the way. He had 3 receptions on 5 targets for 73 yards and a touchdown. Chris Olave only had 2 targets. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the trend. I don't think that he's going to get 60% more of the target share than Chris Olave. But regardless, Rashid Shaheed very much is going to be effective and a part of this offense. He has big play potential. His yak, everything that he has to offer, not just PPR, but he has the ability to make people miss afterwards. Their defense is opportunistic, but don't buy in on their defense. I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The NFC South's defense is just like the Pac-12's defense. They only look good when they're playing each other. And by playing each other, I mean other shitty teams. The NFC South is horrible. Minus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Minnesota versus the New York Giants. I mean, the New York Giants is a complete shit show. Everything that we heard about Hard Knocks was validated on the football field this weekend. And what have I been saying? I probably said it in every one of my videos. I just drop it, sprinkle it in. Daniel Jones sucks, dude. This guy sucks. He's horrible at football. New York might be last in offense and defensive efficiency when it's all said and done, behind Carolina. With that said, I don't buy Sam Darnold yet, okay? We got to let the cake bake there for a little bit. The Giants are so bad. Just like New Orleans, I don't put a whole lot of stock into the Vikings' performance either. Preseason, I had Minnesota maybe tops winning 3 or 4 football games. And this was one of them. Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones are the only people worth rostering on your fantasy team. And Singletary and Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson all depend on a shitty quarterback. Their dependability is about as low as it gets. The Las Vegas Raiders play Jim Harbaugh's newly renovated Los Angeles Chargers. And Jim Harbaugh's the real deal, okay? This man has the ability to make an instant impact everywhere he goes. The Los Angeles Chargers ran the football 27 times total for 176 yards. They made a superstar in the revival of J.K. Dobbins this weekend. They averaged 6.5 yards per carry and played tremendous defense. Both things could not possibly be said last year when Brandon Staley was at the helm. This is a quality divisional win over a good Las Vegas team. I mean, this is a good, tough Las Vegas team under Coach Pierce. Antonio Pierce has revived the old Raider way. Except for one thing. You forgot about Zamir White, dude? I'm not buying that this is going to be Zamir's production. And I also am not buying the fact that Alexander Madison is going to get a touch to every one of Zamir's 2 touches. I expect the distance between those touches to grow, but I'm very, very concerned about how they started. Alexander Madison has shown multiple times when he's given the opportunity to be the premier RB1 for a franchise, he simply cannot produce. Zamir White, the last 5 games of the season last season, averaged 23 to 25 touches per game and about 100 to 120 yards, somewhere in that range. Put more emphasis on Zamir White. With that said, the Georgia Bulldogs are just as advertised, okay? Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers both in this matchup. They were probably the best 2 players on the football field on Sunday. You can forget about Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins stole the show. It's his backfield to lose now. Denver versus Seattle. This is exactly how I thought it would go. Bo Nix is just not ready for the spotlight. And I'll say it again. Since when did we stop putting rookie quarterbacks behind veterans to just let them learn? They don't know how to wipe their ass in the NFL yet. Much less go out there and be a leader of men going against the most complicated defensive schemes that change seemingly play to play. These defensive coordinators in the NFL can have you seeing ghosts in a heartbeat. You can walk to the line of scrimmage, see the exact same personnel grouping, the exact same alignment over and over and over again, and they will continue to fall out and drop out and come and blitz and drop back into coverage 100 different ways. It is so easy for these defensive coordinators to get in the heads of these rookie quarterbacks, and nobody should understand this better than Sean Payton. And Sean Payton left this man out there to die. He allowed his quarterback to throw 42 times in what was, for the most part, a one-possession football game. They actually had the lead at halftime. Why is Bo Nix throwing the football so much? Furthermore, why is Jaleel McLaughlin, who was just 3rd on your depth chart behind Samaje Perine, Javonte Williams, this was supposed to be his backfield without a doubt. That's why I thought that they moved Samaje to begin with. Jaleel was going backwards, and now all of a sudden, week 1, he gets 10 carries and 5 targets to Javonte's 8 carries and 2 targets? 2 more carries and 3 more targets out of the backfield. That's numbers that Jaleel McLaughlin didn't get last season when he had a tiny bit more respect. What happened? Your quarterback throws 2 picks. You have him throw 42 times in a football game. He's clearly rattled. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And then, let's just get our second running back to go in. I love Seattle's balance. They actually look like they have the perfect balance of run and pass. They know how to use their weapons. They don't get too cute. They give the fucking football to their best players. Sean Payton, man, I've been talking you up, dude, but you lost something. You really did. Dallas versus Cleveland. This game was way, way over what I thought it was going to be total-wise. Dallas won this football game 33-17. The Browns' defense is worse than I expected. Hard to say that, really, because, they didn't give up a ton of yardage, but they gave up 33 points. Most of that is because of just how ineffective they were on offense. Deshaun Watson, I'm convinced, hates football. Football hates him. His offensive line hates him. Like I said before, it's a longest yard type of situation. The Cleveland Browns have a top 5 offensive line, and Deshaun Watson was sacked 6 times. You tell me what's going on. Deshaun Watson tried to help up one of his offensive linemen, and the offensive lineman smacked his hand away. When have you ever seen an offensive lineman do that to their quarterback? Most offensive linemen would damn near shoot their mamas to protect their quarterback if that's what they had to do. I've never seen anything like it. With that being said, on Dallas' side, Brandon Cooks is a must-add for your fantasy team, but Zeke was not dominant by any means, but relatively productive. He had 40 yards, a touchdown on just 10 carries. Dak Prescott looked okay. I mean, for the most part, considering all the issues, we'll say, in Dallas over the course of the offseason. But Deshaun Watson and the Browns offense, not even remotely close to anything functional. His top three receivers, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, and Elijah Moore. Deshaun Watson connected with Amari Cooper on 2 of 9 targets for 16 yards. He connected with Jerry Jeudy 3 of 8 targets for 25 yards. And finally, he connected with his third receiver, Elijah Moore, 3 of 6 targets for 9 yards. That is a total of 8 for 23 for 50 yards receiving. To your top 3 receivers, Washington versus Tampa Bay, I specifically added Baker Mayfield to my starting lineup this week because I just knew this was going to get out of hand through the air. It's exactly the shootout that I expected, and it's exactly what I expected from Jaden Daniels, to be honest with you. See, Jaden Daniels, unlike Caleb Williams, doesn't have that arrogant, I am God's gift to earth, everyone should bow to me and give me everything that I desire without question. If you question me, how dare you? Jaden Daniels, honest to God, and this might be the best compliment to give a young quarterback, he impressed me so much. He is literally a mixture of Lamar Jackson's ability to improv with his athleticism, with C.J. Stroud's ability to stay calm in the pocket, spread the football around, and make the right decision, make the right read. Jaden Daniels looks to run, to extend plays, to look vertical. That's where him and Lamar and C.J. all kind of come together. He spread the ball to 6 wide receivers. There were 6 wide receivers between exactly 3 to 4 targets. Nobody had more. A couple had less, of course. But 6 guys had between 3 to 4 targets. Washington's got a guy. But I never, ever want to see a quarterback ever run the football more than their running back one. Rachaad White might be in a little bit of trouble in Tampa Bay's backfield because that dude, Bucky Irving, is the real deal. And I'm not gonna. I feel like I might have jumped on the Bucky Irving bandwagon before anybody else. When I first started drafting Bucky Irving, after looking into his college stats, his average draft position in fantasy football was about 200, 205, 220. After everything was said and done, he ended up being like the 65th overall player drafted. And for good reason. He averaged 6 yards per carry once again. Continues to be just a shocker running the football on the ground between the tackles. I thought he'd be more of a scat back. He only had 2 receptions for 14 yards. But his workload compared to Rachaad White's was about half. And he, pound for pound, carry for carry, catch for catch, he was more productive. Mayfield, Godwin, Mike Evans, they're locked in, okay? They're on the same exact level that they were prior to last season ending. Baker was 24-30 for 289 and 4 tuds, 0 turnovers. The game of the week was Los Angeles versus Detroit. Both of their identities remain intact, and I'm telling you now, the consistent stability within the franchise is going to be the difference this season. Any team that had dramatic changes at the helm of quarterback, multiple weapons, head coach, any of the above, they are not going to make it. The guys that are going to be there in the end are teams like this who are starting the season 10, 12, 14 light years ahead of everybody else because they know exactly who they are, they know exactly what they can do, and I'll be damned if they ain't going to do it and dare you to stop it. I love how these guys play. I was shocked that Amon-Ra was locked down and that Jameson Williams was just as productive as he was. He was merely a body on the football field last season. I know that he's struggled with some injuries, but for his production to go the way that it was, I was shocked. David Montgomery was completely dominant on the ground. Detroit has perfect balance. They just have to improve their passing defense. They give up almost 300 yards to every single quarterback that they see. And they're not always Matt Stafford, okay? Cooper Kupp had 21 targets. 21. That's got to be close to an NFL record. He caught 14 of 21 targets for 110 and a touchdown. He's back, baby, just like I said. I'm telling you, he was the best wide receiver in the NFL 3 or 4 years ago. And people forgot about my boy, dude. With that being said, we gotta get my guy some help, okay? Puka went down. He cannot sustain 21 targets a game. You're gonna get my boy fucking killed. I was also right about Kyron Williams. Man, he's not going anywhere to Blake Corum. Are you kidding me? Everybody talking about he's going to return punts. He's never going to play. Shut up. Kyron Williams is not in jeopardy of losing his RB1 spot at all, and it was proven. Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, Kobe Parkinson. Who the hell are these guys? They had 7 targets apiece. Kobe Robinson had 5. I knew about Demarcus Robinson. He came on late last year, but who's these other 2 guys? We'll keep an eye on it. And finally, the New York Jets took on San Francisco 49ers in a game that should have probably had a combined 19 points scored in it. The San Francisco 49ers beat the dog shit out of the Jets. They embarrassed their defense. Robert Saleh, Nathaniel Hackett should be embarrassed. They should have quit at halftime. Robert Saleh has 0 fire on the sidelines. He's got one look. It's this right here. And it's not because he's smart and he's some mad scientist cooking up some good shit. It's because he's fucking clueless and he has no idea what to do. You could see it. It's written all over his face. You've seen the picture of Daniel Jones that I pulled up 1,000 times?
What the fuck is going on?
That's Robert Saleh when these games are going on. No ability to change anything. Nathaniel Hackett, I think Aaron Rodgers is just trying to save face with you all. But he don't want to run your fucking plays, dude. You can just see how disgusted he is. You give Aaron Rodgers 21. Aaron Rodgers, multiple time MVP, Super Bowl champ, first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. 21 pass attempts in the most glorified comeback game of all time. You give this man 21 pass attempts, you go run, pass, punt. Run, pass, punt. Run, pass, punt. Every time. Tyrod Taylor got 8 pass attempts in one drive in garbage time. 8 in one drive. Aaron Rodgers had 9 drives and threw the ball 21 times. That's 2.5, roughly, 2.5 pass attempts per series. And Tyrod got 8? They kept feeding the ball to Breece Hall. We get it. Breece is a superstar. Why didn't we try to throw the football to him? Or better yet, throw the ball to anybody other than Lazard and Garrett Wilson? Where was Conklin? Where was Mike Williams? Where was Xavier Gibson? Where was your new rookie, Malachi Corley? Aaron Rodgers has the ability to spread the ball all over the football field, and you guys literally ran a peewee offense where I know how and when you're giving it to your 3 superstars. The San Francisco 49ers were on their fucking ass from the jump. There was nothing that Robert Saleh and his tiny little bird brain could do to change the game plan or the ultimately the outcome of this game whatsoever. With that being said, Jordan Mason earned some playing time for sure, but as soon as Christian McCaffrey comes back, he's basically going to go away, okay? And I don't really know how many more yards the Jets could have possibly given up on the ground. So I'm going to venture to say that this is probably going to be Jordan Mason's best football game, as long as CMC is in the picture. But to give New York a tiny little itty bitty bit of credit, they did, despite all of the fuckery, hold San Francisco to 6 field goals, and ultimately they pretty much neutralized Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk, okay? I think that they were thinking, okay, we stop these 3 guys, we make the young running back who's probably pissing down his leg in his first NFL start beat us. And that little guy did it, okay? So, run, pass, punt. That's the secret sauce.
How you play the game with the people that writing the rules? Ain't the fame that I'm after when paying the dues. I've been through the pain that's reflected in the attitude. Might be winning now, but the thing is that I had to lose. So go and tell me what you really want to do. And lonely at the